All right, so this is thermoplastic. Now, I haven't been as keen on thermo the last couple of years, but I am slowly coming around to it because I do think that it does have a place. It's very, very quick to cure, and it's an awful lot cheaper than really any of the other products. So let's have a quick look and I'll show you what we got. Now this truck here, arguably it's a little bit old, but they pretty much all run the same. Whether you're using a truck or a trailer version, essentially what you've got is either a gas or a diesel supply. In this one we've got a gas supply. Usually you've got a compressor which will run an HCA lance or a hot compressed air. So this is for burning off or for drying. Now I don't actually use my one because I don't like the idea of it. To be honest, I'm scared of using it, so I don't like it. I also don't like the gas. I would rather have a diesel, but that's what we have for this one. Essentially the gas supply runs along the lorry and it's going to feed the boilers that we've got at the back here. Now these boilers are where we're going to load the paint in. The paint in this case is actually, it's a resin. Now it comes as a powder, we drop it in, sort of slice the bag if you like, tip it inside the boiler itself. It's got a small dye sachet inside, that's what gives it the color. Let's have a quick look and I'll show you inside. So this is the sort of workstation, the operating area if you like. What we've got here is a little donkey engine. This runs the hydraulics. Now we haven't got it running at the moment because they're so incredibly loud. A better way to actually run this would be to have it on a PTO, and that would connect up to the engine that we've got on the lorry, and we could just run that silently, or at least just through the lorry to be honest, which would be much better than having this in the way and the noise these things generate. Now in front of me what you see here, these are the two boilers that we've got. So we've got one for white, one for yellow. You may have anti-slip or you may have black or anything else you want to add in, but essentially that's all it's going to be. Now inside these are where we're going to be putting the paints. We've got the little thermostat on the side, tells us what temperature we're at. We need to get this to around 200 degrees. Once it reaches that, we're actually going to turn the paddles on in a second. They're controlling the hydraulics here. So the donkey engine itself, this simply runs a hydraulic pump. And all we're going to do is once this is running, we're able to turn it on and off. So it's currently in neutral, spin it to on, and that will move the paddles around inside. Just keep that paint mixing, making sure it doesn't burn. I would say you get probably around 40, 45 linear meters out of a 20 kilo bag, give or take. It depends how thick, how cold, how hot, but as an average, we probably hit around 40 linear meters per bag quite comfortably. So this one here is getting up to temperature about 150 now, so we're gonna run up the donkey engine, get this thing turning, and then we're ready to discharge straight into our pram or into one of the hand molds. I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. Apart from that, the only thing we've got, this here. Let's run around and I'll show you the other side. These are the boilers you're gonna see at the back here. So essentially when it gets hot enough, we do have to wear some heat shield gloves and a mask as well. But we're gonna be able to fit a chute on the back here, and then we'll open this up. The paint will flow down through the chute and we can drop that straight into the pram. The alternative way is that we use a jug. The jug will sit underneath, we'll open it up, it'll fall into the jug, and then we can use that in our hand molds, just sort of dragging it across the ground. Let's go around this way and I'll show you what else we've got on here. So what Lee's doing is he's just taking off some of the paint on the straight edge we got. Going to burn some of it off. We only need one edge doing. This is where we keep the jugs. Now the jugs, obviously this is ridiculously hot. This is literally where we're going to heat them up constantly. So we want the jugs really, really nice and hot the whole time we're using it. Same with the hand molds. So they're going to sit inside there. We'll keep that running the whole time, and we'll sort of swap one jug over constantly so that we can keep adding the paint straight onto the ground. Well, that's pretty much it for the thermo lorry. Like I say, it's not a thing of beauty, this one. It's fairly old. It's done an awful lot of miles. It's been, you know, loved and abused, but that's our one anyway. What do you need in order to get involved in line marking? Now behind me we have the thermoplastic lorry, which arguably is probably a bit overkill for what we do. We do car parks only. So a lot of our customers, we were in landscaping originally. They were obviously warehouses and offices. And when we bought this, it was a bit overkill, to be honest. We could have done with the trailer version for half the price, and it would have done just fine. Let me show you what we do here though. So this is what the thermoplastic lines look like. And believe it or not, John is brand new to not just line marking, but thermoplastic as well. We did it once last week, and then today, as you can see, he's on site already, and he's literally able to pull in these lines. Let me show you this with it out the way. So this is John's second, is this your second attempt? Second go ever doing this. Check this out. That is some good line marking. Now, given that John has only ever done this once before today, this is his second go, I would say that is probably as good as I could ever do it, quite honestly. So if you're ever looking at getting involved in line marking, you want to know how long does it take, what sort of equipment do you need. We do an awful lot of training for our guys anyway. This one's on thermoplastic, so today it's the first day out where John's actually running the job for us. We did one day last week where we did a little bit of on-hands training on how to set up the machine, how to run it, etc, etc. That's pretty much it. And I think you can actually learn to do this easily in a morning. It's that easy. Now, taking care of the pram takes a little bit longer, and of course there are nuances with every machine. You're always going to find little niggles and faults, etc, with things that you need to overcome, and that's okay. But as for getting started, it's very, very quick, very easy, especially when you're doing hand molds. Now, the other way you can do this, if you don't want to get involved in buying a thermoplastic lorry like this or using a thermoplastic trailer, another way to do it is with MMA, which is pretty much the same sort of process of applying. So we're going to use the hand molds that you see that John's got there and a jug, except we're going to use the cold application, the MMA, as opposed to a hot one. Now, the downside of this is it takes a little bit longer to dry and it's a bit more expensive. But on the plus side, you don't need all of this equipment. So in the back of the van here, you'll see we've also got spray machines, etc, to go along with it. These are great if you're doing acrylic lines, MMA lines, if you're spraying MMA. Thermoplastic's great for very fast curing. But you can actually get involved in line marking like this very, very cheaply. Set of hand molds will set you back probably £25 each, and your MMA tins around £100 a tin, which will get you, I don't know, let's say parking space like this, you're probably going to get 4 meters per kilo, give or take. Now, each tin comes in 20 kilos, so you're going to get around 80 linear meters for £100. So cost base around 80 to 85p for every single meter you put in MMA. Here's Lee doing one as well. Now, Lee's also brand new to this. Again, Lee did one day of training on this, and look at this. This is straight away, and you'd think this is 20 years of experience. Now, the trickier bits that we're going to have with these, it's not really the straight lines, it's the small things like this, disabled arrow. Because we're going smaller, you've got to be very precise, not have too much in the hand mold. You've got to be quite careful with what you do. So we'll probably swap to a 50mm for a lot of this, just so it fits on quite nicely. But otherwise, that's it. Nice and easy.